This is I Only Touch Greatness Remix. Scan the code and follow.
The same way is no one's going to hand me anything. No one's going to, pity pat. Oh, you were great. And, you were awesome. And, yeah, and I appreciate that. But what am I going to do now? What's my plan now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You always got to have a plan going forward.
And definitely when somebody tells you can't do something, that's usually that's how I get it. It fires me up inside. Like somebody told me I couldn't do music back in the day. We did music, accomplished a lot in there. Then somebody told me you couldn't do a podcast. Oh, no one will listen. Boom, we're here now. We got Ken fucking Shamrock on my show.
Right.
And we just keep pushing and pushing. When someone tells you not to do something, you got to drive right through that and don't let anyone stop you. You also had a PTO with the San Diego Chargers, but you ended up choosing wrestling. Why was that?
I just as we talking about, having to do things yourself, you have to make that decision. People can set you up and give you opportunities, but you have to do the work. And so when I had the opportunity to either one, go do a tryout, not that I was guaranteed anything, to go do a tryout for the Chargers or do pro wrestling. And I thought to myself, man, if I walk out there and I go and I try to do professional football, I'm thinking about, okay, can I still do what I did in college? Can I still hit people? The confidence with the neck, having it fused with, the bone chip out of my hip into my neck and fused. Will it hold up? It was a lot of thought. But at the same time, I'm also was thinking, how successful can I be at this with my own ability? And I thought to myself, this is going to be difficult because if I walk out there, I need, 10 other players to help me be successful. And, a whole team in order to win a championship or to win or be relevant as a champion. And I thought to myself, I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to bet on that. I'm going to step into a wrestling ring and I'm going to step into an MMA ring, a no holds barred ring. I want to bet on myself that I'm going to get where I need to go because it's just on me. It's on me to step in and accomplish what I need to do, rather than depend on other people to help me do it. And so I chose that really with all those thoughts in mind. And I've always been that kind of guy where I kind of weigh things out and try to see what the best direction for me as a person and what my character is and what my skill sets are to attack something that I believe that I'm going to be good at and to accomplish it. I don't want to put myself behind the eight ball and do something that I know that, I'm not going to be. And I could dunk a basketball. I could play basketball. I was good at it, but I wasn't 6'4". And those are things that you can't get around. I mean, yeah, there's some people can knock those threes down and, step back, but those guys are 6'3" and 6'4", right? I mean,
yeah,
very, 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 very minimum guys get in there that are 5'11", And so, you look at those things and as an athlete where you have all kinds of different skill sets to accomplish, pretty much any sport that you want to, but you have to look at the ones that you realize going, okay, I got a better chance at doing this. And I like it a whole lot more when I'm standing out there getting my hand raised rather than taking a picture with 32 other guys.
True. That's a good way to look at it. I never thought about that.
Yeah, if you were an animal, what would you be?
Lion. Yeah.
King of the jungle.
Yeah.
What was it like going into UFC 1, and were you a little skeptical of it?
No, actually, UFC 1 was doubtful for me. I remember calling Art Davies and trying to figure out what this was because nobody ever saw it. When you say, no holds barred, you're like Hulk Hogan or, Terry Funk or, it's this crazy wrestling match, right?
Yeah.
So trying to get my head wrapped around the no holds barred thing, like anything goes, and these guys are fighting and there's no weight classes and you kick them in the head. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, this is not real. There's not possible, right? And I remember I talking to Art Davies and he's assuring me, no, this is the real deal. And it's like, okay, I'm in Pancras. I'm the champion. It's a mixed martial arts thing. And no one ever heard of mixed martial arts before this, right? No one except for the Gracies, right? But no one knew the Gracies. And so here I was over in Japan actually competing, and I was the world champion there. And now they're going to do something like this, which was not mixed martial arts. It was no rules. Like this was like kicking guys in the head, literally, and punching them in the groin and eye gouging them, and and they would fine you, but they wouldn't disqualify you. So basically, it was a street fight with absolutely no police around, and you could do whatever you want to win the fight. And so going into it, man, I felt like I was going into a very comfortable situation, because from where I came from, I always had to worry about getting stabbed or shot, or getting jumped. So when I was a one-on-one, there's a referee in there, even though I don't understand why the referee was there, because it was no holds barred, right? Anything went. So, but I felt very comfortable going into this, because I felt like, wow, like I was going to juvenile hall because I was beating people up. And now these guys are telling me, hey, you can do whatever you want now, just as long as it's within the octagon. You can go out and just destroy this guy, and nobody's going to touch you. Nobody's going to say anything to you. And I was like, wow, I wish they would have had this for kids. I said, man, I'd have been a world champion already. And so for me, it was exciting. I remember watching the first fight where Gerard, kicked a sumo guy right in the face, Dewey. And I was like, oh, it's on. And I was jacked. I mean, I was literally jacked. But all the way up to the fight, because I went over to Japan and I came in 3 days prior to this event going off, which was a mile high, thinking it's not happening. Like they're going to come to us and say, okay, this is how it's going to be. But that never happened, right? So I didn't even train for this. I didn't understand who was fighting, who was in it, who Royce Gracie even was, what their family was, nothing. I just like, okay, it's not happening, but I'm going to go just so that somebody can't say I backed out. I show up and fights happen. I mean, I'm just like, oh, this is awesome, man. These guys, especially the kick in the face, I was like, this is real. And I remember we went in there and I had my first fight with Patrick, and he tried to dog me. His buddies got in my face and ended up tapping him out with that heel hook. And Royce Gracie, man, I thought for sure, like, this dude I'm going to kill him. This poor kid, what's he doing here? Next thing I know, I'm looking up at him as he's choking me unconscious. I was like, okay, I guess I made a mistake.
Yeah, I read somewhere you thought he was just a guy in a gi.
It was in pajamas. Like, guy walking around here. Who walks around at a press conference in their gi? I'm like, this dude is like, he's got to be out of his mind. Someone needs to talk to him, pull him aside, tell him he's going to get killed here.
Yeah, that's why you two were the best ever, man. That from the start, that was so much fun to watch you guys battle it out.
I know.
Yeah, it was I mean, again, I think the world realized that, and again, I was only 190, 195 pounds, and I think Royce went about 180, even they said 160, but if you look at the pictures, he was taller than me and wider than me, and I wrestled him, so I know he weighed a whole lot more than that, but it was the whole mystique of the smaller guy being able to beat a bigger guy, which is what they were trying to sell. It was a marketing tool. They did a tremendous job at it. But yeah, he weighed a whole lot more than that. I think we were closer to the same weight because I was, if you look at us, we looked about the same size. If you look at his height, he was at least 1 inch to 2 inches taller than me. His shoulders were wider than mine. But when we went in, man, it was a shock to the world to see that happen and to see myself and Royce, who were literally the two smallest guys in these competitions, dominating it.
And different styles. You guys both had very different styles as well.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. I think Royce was more off his back, more of a defense where he forced guys to move around so he's able to catch him in submissions. I was more the attacker on top, being the aggressor, forcing submissions. And I was the first guy that stepped into that octagon that knew how to strike, because I had a Muay Thai with Frank Laudman, who was a champion at one time, where I fought him in a Muay Thai kickboxing match. So I was the very first one that literally came in with both skill sets.
Yeah.
And those